just add myself here. Welcome into the show here on this Thursday evening. It's meteorologist Matt Wentz. We've got storms on our doorstep right now, pushing in from Illinois, getting ready to cross the border into Lake and eventually Porter counties. That's where we've got our severe thunderstorm warnings right now. We do not have a tornado warning with this. There is a severe thunderstorm warning moving in for damaging winds with this. Large hail, there's a tornado tag with it. Basically saying that we could have a tornado at any time out of this. So that's something that we'll be watching here. So appreciate you guys joining us. Again, I'm Matt Wentz, a meteorologist here for Region Weather serving Northwest Indiana. This is my sleepy time. I want you to know that. I do the morning show. I've got to be up in just a couple hours. I've been fighting a nasty cold and sickness and sore throat all week. So I apologize for my voice. It isn't normally this stuffy. Not that that matters. We'll get you the coverage you need, but it has just been a brutal week in terms of sleep and all that. So I apologize. I am not at my best this evening, but we are going to get ourselves through these storms here in Northwest Indiana, and then we'll move on from it. All right. I want to start big picture first. This is going to be a quick hit of storms this evening. All right. These things are moving in fast. They're coming in from the west around 50 miles per hour. They're going to hit hard. We've got a lot of lightning with it. We've got strong winds and hail, as I mentioned. I'm going to keep a real close eye on the tornado threat with these. As we go through time here. Overall, we've had a lot of reports back towards the west of hail. We've had strong winds in Illinois, a few tornado reports coming out of Illinois, a lot of them coming out of Wisconsin. So these storms are really tapping into this extremely unstable environment. It's an environment that's very similar to what we get in July and August around here. But in July and August, there's usually a cap in place that prevents any storms from getting crazy, right? Well, we had a cap in place today as well. And the big idea was, do these storms, develop far enough south? Well, they have. They've developed far enough south along this line. They stretch all the way up into Wisconsin, Michigan, and here we are. So let's dive into the latest here in terms of where these storms are right now. Remember, when you look at this radar, what you're seeing is reflectivity. This shows the heavy rain. You can pick up on some hail within this as well. We'll show you the wind radar in a second because the wind is really going to be the issue with this, at least from what I'm seeing right now. But we've got heavy rain and lightning already starting at the Gary Airport. Hammond, you're in the thick of things right now. This stretches down towards Cherville, just seeing your first raindrops now. The wind has really picked up. Notice we've got another cell back here towards Peatone. This will get into Crown Point and Cedar Lake. That's why you've got a warning. You've probably got another, I would say, 10 or 15 minutes on this cell. That eventually has eyes on Valparaiso. And I don't like the look of this one down towards Kankakee. You can see it's got a little hook to it, maybe starting to develop. So we'll keep a close eye on that one. But it's about to get rocking, all right, along the Borman there in Lake County. And first up is northwestern portions of Lake County. Okay, you're starting to see it now. What I want to do, though, is go into these storms, and we're going to look at the wind within these. And this tells a much different story, all right? The wind, when you look at this, we look for areas of rotation. We can look inside thunderstorms. We also look for the brighter colors. That shows you where you've got some of the stronger wind gusts coming out. And there's incredible wind, likely on the order of 60 to 70 miles per hour within this thunderstorm approaching the Dalton area. This will get into Whiting here shortly. So if you're in Whiting right now, East Chicago, or even Hammond, I want you to get in your safe place because we're going to have some destructive winds coming through on the order of 60 or 70. It is going to be howling outside. We've got hail in the mix as well. So you throw that into the big idea, and we've got a messy storm coming in here that's likely to produce some tree damage in the Whiting area, Hammond, and East Chicago. So you're my first folks that I want to get in a safe place right now in those areas. And then down towards the south, we're also going to keep our eye on this little pocket of wind down here, down towards Beecher. We've got some gusty winds here, likely on the order of 40 to 50 miles per hour. But these could ramp up as these storms continue to tap into that warm and humid atmosphere. All right, so we're going to keep our eye on that little cell down there as well. Otherwise, it is a heavy rain and a hail story. I want to show you the hail as well. We mentioned yesterday in the broadcast, and I had a couple of you message me saying, should I get my car in the garage now? Are we still expecting hail from the storms? Yes. If you have the opportunity to get your car in the garage in Porter, LaPorte, Newton, Jasper counties, I would do it now. Just go protect that car just in case you have some large hail, because that atmosphere, it's ready to produce some big hail here this evening. All right. So here's your hail. We've got big old hail falling near Markham. This is in combination with those really strong winds that we've got with this cell that's getting ready to head into Hammond as well. So Hammond, East Chicago again. Gary, Chicago International Airport plan for some large hail with this storm as it moves in addition to those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. I mean, this storm is cranking out here. All right, let's see what we've got. I'm also chatting with the National Weather Service, so we've got some boots on the ground, some boots, and more eyes on the radar here coming out of the Weather Service. Typically, they'll see what I'm seeing. A lot of times we have called the warnings in advance, and I'm not saying that to say, "Hey, look at us." I'm just saying, just know you're in tandem with them, with me. Okay, we're all doing the same thing. We've all got experience forecasting these storms, so we'll see a warning before it goes. Hopefully, if there's any tornado warnings with that. Okay, they are saying widespread damaging winds to trees and power lines likely ongoing at this time between Chatham and Englewood. Crossing I-94, I-90 at this time would be in Hyde Park and South Shore in just a few minutes. And that's with this cell that we're seeing here. So there's your hail. Let me check that southern storm for hail real quick. There's not a lot there. Okay, there's some here. This is the Bourbonnais storm. They had some, was it quarter size hail reported out of that? They had some decent hail with that. That would have eyes on Cedar Lake here shortly. But overall, I'm not going to track that one right now. This is the nasty storm of the hour right now. Now getting into northwestern areas of Lake County. So for you in Cherville, Highland, getting into the Gary area, you've got a decent storm right now moving in. But the worst of it is up towards Hammond and East Chicago, and I expect the worst of it to stay there for now. This is the real bad part of the storm right up in here, okay? This part down here, yeah, it's packing a punch. We've got some strong winds with it, but the worst part is northwest of you. So Hammond, you're probably getting some large hail right now. Whiting, you're probably picking up some hail right now as well, and those winds are likely howling outside as you're out and about, hopefully not traveling. Hopefully you're home and safe and just in a safety spot here. With those very strong winds moving through. So again, bad storm for Highland and Griffith over towards the Ross and Gary area, but the worst is off towards the north, all right? This secondary storm, we've got some hail that continues to grow within this. These two are also supercells, so they do have a little bit of a rotating characteristic to them. Storms, again, rotate all the time. It's not a big deal if they are rotating. We just have to keep an eye on them. That's all, okay? They have the tendency to produce some spin-up tornadoes today, and that's what we're going to be watching. All right, so let's go back to the wind real quick. We'll take a look at the wind within the system. Yeah, this is the real destructive wind right now. So if any of you are watching, oh, shoot, I don't have comments on. If any of you are watching right now from the Whiting area over towards East Chicago, even Hammond, what are you hearing right now outside? I do not want you to go outside, but I would like a ground report if we could of some of these winds moving through, because remember, when we get a radar read and we're looking at it here on radar, we're getting a view a little bit higher in the sky, depending on how far away you are from the radar site. So at this point, it's just above tree level, right? We're getting a view of the wind because it's pretty close to the radar site, but some really incredible winds moving through Whiting and Hammond right now. So there's that. Let's see. Bad Thunder, says Moy. Thanks for the update on that. Wind is crazy right now in Crown Point, says Mariah. Lowell, Nancy says very windy and lightning. Yeah, you guys can hear all that thunder moving in from the west here. Again, the worst part of the storm. So we can dissect these storms, right? We can go inside these storms and we can see what areas are seeing rain and heavy rain. But remember, not all storms are created equal. And there's different parts of these storms that are worse than others, all right? And that's what I want to get into, and that's what I am getting into with these storms, is that, yeah, I know some of you are experiencing some pretty bad weather right now, but this is by and large the worst part of it heading through Whiting and Hammond right now, okay? So let's go back to the reflectivity again. I'm going to put some motion on it. These things are moving, again, to the northeast around 50 miles per hour, even 55 at times. So they are fast movers here this evening, and they're going to roll in quick, and they're going to roll out just as quick as well. All of these little plus signs that you see on here, those are all lightning strikes. This setup that we have with the tremendous amount of instability ongoing right now is very conducive for very frequent lightning within these storms. There's lots of energy. There's lots of ice energy up above and friction happening, creating that electrical charge. These are electric systems. On top of that, we've got cloud heights with this that are the highest of the season so far. These storms are towering some 50 to 55,000 feet in the air. So that is above jet level, right? So the jets have to go around them. We're probably seeing planes rerouted, flying into Midway, even O'Hare, as they go around these towering cumulonimbus tops. These are really impressive, true summertime storms that are moving through, okay? So that's the movement on it. Notice how this first cell here is going to move through the northern half of Lake County, and then we're going to have to watch the central and southern half is going to get this storm back to the west, okay? So Maryville, you're going to get clipped by this storm, but you've got a little bit of time before your main show heads in from the west. This main storm here, again, oh man, I don't like that hook right there. Let's get into the wind on this. Whiting getting rocked right now. East Chicago, you as well. Hammond, you're probably starting to catch a little bit of a break here, but that's probably not a good sign. Yeah, I don't see any hook here on the velocity, but man, that reflectivity is starting to show a little hook to it as well. So again, I would treat this, I know the wind looks kind of messy here. It doesn't always look clean, but I would treat this like a tornado warning if you could, all right? And just because we've got destructive winds, if you are anywhere from, I would say, Hammond, East Chicago into Whiting and Gary, just get in your safe place, all right? We said that beginning of the broadcast, but I want you to do that right now just because of how this storm's behaving. Strongest winds offshore and right over East Chicago and right over the airport right now. I would be checking to see what kind of gusts we get out of the Gary Chicago International Airport. There's another little pack of winds back here. It gets a little messier because we're getting closer to the radar. It gets a little noisy, but those strong winds are now heading offshore. We can go down to street level with this. In terms of those strong winds right now, getting into the town of Pine. This is near Burlington Harbor Beach, getting up into the Indiana Harbor Works, the steel yard over here. The steel, U.S. Steel, going to be dealing with some strong winds here shortly. We tracked a couple months ago tornado or a potential tornado through that area as well. So this is very similar to the path that last storm took a couple months ago. Meanwhile, down to the south, I don't want to slack on this. We've got damaging wind potential out of Highland and Griffith right now. This will get into Ross, New Chicago, and Lake Station with this little pocket here. It's not nearly as strong as what we're dealing off towards the north, but as we're seeing and as we've seen with these storms out towards the west, they're producing damaging wind even when it's not showing up as crazy wind on radar as well. So lots of wind energy with this. So make sure you're prepared in the Ross, New Chicago, Lake Station area here shortly, all right? Down to the south, and again, the radar we are looking at right now with these bright colors that look like lava and volcanoes, this is a wind radar. We're looking at the velocity, all right? That's the most important thing right now is the damaging wind risk from this. Cedar Lake, we've got real strong winds. These have picked up. These are probably on the order of 60 to 65 miles per hour, heading over the Brunswick area into Cook. This will get into Cedar Lake, especially the north side of town. And I want to give a heads up to all of our friends in Crown Point right now. This burst of wind within this storm, I know it's already breezy. You've got some gusty winds with the rain starting, but this real strong gust of wind is going to get into Crown Point itself here. Probably another 5 to 7 minutes or so. We're going to have some real strong winds move through, all right? So all of you that are in Crown Point or Cedar Lake right now, I want you to get to your safe place as well. Doesn't mean we have a tornado with this, but we've got some damaging winds moving in with us. And that can be just as bad. I mean, if you've got trees coming down, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, and I don't use that as a scare tactic, but again, we prepare for the worst with these, and we keep ourselves safe. So I just want to make sure that you know that there's a pretty decent threat of damage to some trees and branches and stuff like that. If you've got patio furniture out, well, too late to get that in, but that's something you'll be dealing with there in Cedar Lake with those strong winds. All right, let's go back to hail because that hail continues to fluctuate within some of these storms. Here's your hail radar right now. The hail radar is not in sales mode. We usually get updates every 5 minutes on the hail. So I would imagine this is over East Chicago. We should be getting an update shortly. I would imagine this hail somewhere in here right now. But you can see it was still packing a little bit of a punch there, probably quarter size hail. And then this hail is probably a little bit further out towards the east here, approaching Schneider and Lowell. You're about to get some hail out of the storm there. All right. So let's give an update to our friends down in Lowell with the storm that's moving in. Boy, we've got really 3 main storms that we're watching right now. Down to the south, there's another one. That's pretty far south. We get a bit of a break in this line. So that may bode well for our Newton and Jasper County folks. But right now, it's Lake and Porter counties that are getting the brunt of these storms that are moving in. And there's really 3 storms that we're watching right now. Let me just make sure. National Weather Service saying the bigger picture trends do not show any imminent development to the south of the current cluster as it moves through Lake and Porter counties. That's kind of what we're talking about right now. Also, the tornado watch has just been extended out towards the east a little bit further. Okay, that makes sense. This whole line's heading east, and that tornado threat continues. All right, so here we go. We're down to a severe thunderstorm warning right now with these storms that are packing a punch. There's really 3 distinct storms that we're watching in this cluster. This is the strongest one by far, which is impacting Whiting again, likely hail and incredible winds with this in Whiting. That will head offshore. and we'll keep an eye on that as it may brush Michigan City, more than likely to head into New Buffalo up in the Michigan. But for us, we're watching this storm here, which, to be honest, it's bad, but it's not that bad. All right, getting into the Maryville area, Highland, Cherville, and then there's this one, which is a pretty nasty one down towards the south that's going to impact the Lowell community. Okay, so 3 cells that we're watching, all of them moving in. So they're moving to the northeast. That means they're moving in from the southwest. So if you look to the southwestern sky, I'm sure it's lighting up right now. You've got a lot of lightning. You can see those storm tops moving in. I mean, these are intimidating storms when they're moving in. Doesn't mean they're going to produce tornadoes and go crazy. You'll be fine. But they are intimidating storms because they're really tapping into this incredible amount of energy we have in the atmosphere from our highs in the 90s today to our high dew point. So we've got a lot of humidity, a lot of juice for these storms. We eroded that cap that was in place. We had a lid on the atmosphere. We got enough push upwards to break through that cap. And so now these storms are going 50, 55,000 feet into the sky. So they are doing their thing right now. But the good news is there's not a lot of development down here. So Newton and Jasper County, once this line gets through right here, wow, I'm really coloring there. We should be in the clear, all right? I have seen some model runs that want to develop maybe a secondary storm back towards the west, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But we want to get into these storms here that are packing a punch. All right, one update. Let's get to this northern cell real quick. I still don't like this hook on here. You can see how we've got this little kind of eye in the storm. This would be the part right here that we'd be watching for any rotation. So Whiting, you're getting hit again. Let's go back to the wind with this. And there is some rotation with this. I don't know. To me, it's not strong enough to have a tornado warning with it. But you can see we've got strong winds here, and then we've got strong winds that kind of curl back here. All right, so that rotation would be right in this area. As I said, storms rotate all the time. Doesn't mean it's crazy. Doesn't mean it's going to produce a huge tornado like you see in the Twister movie or Twisters, whichever one you prefer better. Twister was better, but Twisters was okay. We finally watched that like not long ago. We have 5 kids, or no, we have 4 kids with one on the way. Sorry, too many. And we just don't watch movies. And so we finally watched Twisters, my wife and I, a couple weeks ago. Not as good, but still good. But anyway, you're not going to see a tornado like that. That's not how it works, okay? That's how it works in Oklahoma, where the movie was supposedly taking place. But for us here, we get kind of messy tornadoes if we do have them. There's not a tornado with this. I'm going to keep my eye on those winds, though. Down towards the south, boy, this one is moving fast. This is that one we were talking about getting into Crown Point. It's almost there right now. So Crown Point, Liberty Park, down towards Shady Lawn, Hawthorne Hills. Get in your safe place right now. Not for tornado threat. Right now, this is for damaging wind threat. We've got 60 to 65 mile per hour winds pushing in with this. That's going to do some damage to trees. It's going to move around some of the stuff in your yard that you left out, okay? That comes with rain and some hail as well. St. John, Cherville, you've got some strong winds as well. Let me check the rain because I believe the rain has moved in. Yeah, it has. Yeah, we've got heavy rain right now in Cherville and St. John. This rain will get into Maryville. It's traveling right from Dyer to Maryville along US 30 right now. So we've got heavy rain, some hail, and likely winds on the order of 45 to 55 miles per hour with this one as it moves into Cherville and St. John. Let me get you some times here. I know a lot of you are tuned in here this evening from areas of Porter and LaPorte counties, wondering what's happening. So let's time these out to kind of give you an estimate. It's not going to be long. We're already seeing rain moving into areas of Porter County, but again, I want to give you more of an estimated time here. So let's time this one out. This is the one with the strong winds that's getting into Maryville. So let's time that out through LaPorte County, and we'll give it a little faster movement. We'll do 52 instead of 50. And you can see some of the times here. I'll drag them over on the screen. So Maryville, it says 4 minutes, but that's because I drew it towards the back. You're getting it now. It's moving into Maryville right now. Deep River in about, I would say, 7 minutes. We'll knock off 3 on these. South Haven, you've got about 13 minutes till this core of this storm moves in. West Hill, about 14 or so. Valpo, this line will get to you probably in about 17 minutes or so, okay? And then let's head over towards Woodville, around 18 minutes or so. Chesterton, you're getting some rain right now, but the worst storm here will probably get there in about 20 minutes. And then our last one here, let's pick out Westville, probably another 25 minutes or so until this storm gets in there, okay? That'll give you guys some time on that so you can plan that out, all right? So 2 storms we're watching right now. This northern storm is starting to strengthen a little bit. You can see right here we've got some strengthening getting into the Hobart area, Lake Station, and then the southern storm here continues to pack a punch. That's the one that's going to hit Cedar Lake with some hail and some strong winds as well. Let's go back to wind real quick. In terms of the big picture, we're dealing with just a severe thunderstorm warning for Lake and Porter counties. That's it right now. We don't have any tornado warnings or anything like that. These storms are packing a punch, but so far that rotation has kind of behaved itself, okay? So that's some good news, at least on that front. Let's get back to the wind product again. Still some very strong winds in pockets. And so you can see how this goes with thunderstorms, right? It's not the same everywhere. I want people to understand that. A lot of times people say, that storm was nothing where I live. What are you talking about, weather boy? I hear that a lot. I don't hear that a lot, but I'm sure people think that a lot. Storms are they're full of different pockets of energy where no two backyards are the same, all right, from this. And we're seeing that very evident here. There's a gust of strong winds. St. John just passed through Cedar Lake. This is that area of strong winds that'll get into Crown Point. But you go right next to it, and there's not much wind at all, all right? There's a pocket of not much wind here, and then you have wind up here. So it's very localized in terms of who gets these damaging winds and who doesn't. Not everyone sees them the same, okay? So just understand that, if you get out of the storm and you don't have wind damage, that's fine. That's great. Let's celebrate that, all right? So strong winds right now getting into Maryville. This was my first job in TV at Lakeshore Public Television, the Maryville area, right off of US 30 there. They're getting hit hard. There at the station. This is crossing I-65 right now. You could probably pull up Google Maps or Waze or wherever you use. You probably see the slower traffic building up on 65 as people really slow down as the storm moves in. Real strong winds with this as well. This will get into Winfield. Hobart, you've got strong winds heading your direction as well. And then we've got this storm off towards the north, which continues to pack just a big wind field with it. Still seeing some gusty, if not damaging wind. Potential in the Whiting and East Chicago area as this storm heads offshore. We'll keep our eyes on that as that crosses the lake. And the curvature of the land here, that could get up into the Beverly Shores, Town of Pines, and Michigan City area here in another 20 minutes or so. Okay, so this is your wind radar. We got our eyes on this one too. We're not missing you down in Lowell right now. You've got a little gust of wind that could produce some damage just to the southwest of you with that storm moving in. Okay. Let's go back to reflectivity again so we can just keep an eye on what's going on. You see the movement of this pretty quick, and we've got little pockets of storms. These are all supercells. They're not quite congealed into a line yet. We're likely to see that happen in the state of Michigan and maybe northern Indiana as it heads through like the South Bend area. We would see this form into more of a line, a QLCS we call it. But for right now, these are staying pretty unique to themselves in terms of their structure. And that's not always a good thing. That means they can kind of do their own thing rather than being influenced by a big line of storms. But you can see not a lot of coverage on this, right? This is a quick hit, as we've been saying, of storms that's going to move through. But that hit certainly is packing a punch. A couple of things I look for when we're looking at storms. When we're, again, I could look at radar and analyze radar and just go over radar with you guys, but I'm not doing you any favors, all right? Any meteorologist can do that. What I like to do with radar analysis, which I do for MLB, by the way, and it's it's one of the most challenging things I think in my career is predicting what's going to happen on radar next, and so I want to do that. So one of the things I look for, we're getting a flare up here, so this cell getting into New Chicago that will get into the Portage area, Ogden Dunes, and eventually Chesterton. This cell is gaining strength, all right? And how do I know that? Well, the radar trend shows that it's gaining strength as well. There's a couple other products we can look at. But we're noticing more lightning with it, all right? Lightning is very indicative of if a storm is weakening or strengthening. So a lot of you've probably been through it, and you probably, would recognize this or remember something like this. When you have a storm moving in, then all of a sudden it starts lightning a lot more, right, than what it was when it moves in. That tells you that storm is strengthening, all right? And there's good energy with that, good uplift producing that lightning. And so that's what we're seeing with this storm. That's funny, I say seeing as I take my glasses off, but that's what we're seeing with the storm as we move into the Portage area. This is a nasty storm that's heading along the lakeshore right now, 80-94, getting hit hard from that. Hobart, you've got a pretty bad storm as well. We've got heavy driving rain and wind with that. There's hail within that storm as well, so that's no slack for you. That will get into Wheeler. We're still a little ways off, probably another 12 minutes or so until the storm gets into Valpo, and we've got this one that we're watching towards Winfield. That's going to be the storm you inherit. And then you may inherit this one as well. This is really our biggest storm. This is kind of taken over as our biggest storm right now for our folks down in southern Lake County. So Cedar Lake, you're getting hit again. Lowell, you're getting hit again as well. And I would guess this hail has really grown within this as well. Crown Point, I think you're going to get clipped by this one. You got hit by this one, but this one's a little bigger down your south. Hebron, heads up to you. This one's moving in. So let's head and look at the reflectivity real quick, and we'll go back to velocity real quick. So we've got some wind with this storm down towards the Lowell area. It's impressive, but it's not nearly as impressive as this. We've got some serious winds moving through Hobart right now. South Haven, Portage, heads up towards Burns Harbor, Ogden Dunes, Lake Station. You are in the thick of it right now in terms of the really strong wind moving through, okay? This is going to get into the northern half. We're talking US 30 and north of Porter County with this strong wind, at least with this cell. It doesn't mean south of US 30 you're safe, but this cell is going to continue off towards the north and east. So Chesterton, heads up to you. The severe storm is now producing more wind with it, and we're talking 60 to 70 miles per hour with that as well, okay? Checking weather service updates real quick. Let's see what we've got in terms of reports coming in. I do see your comments scrolling in as well. I do want to make, so Allie, that's our whole point. A lot of people have storm anxiety, and I get it. All right, I totally get it. Again, I'm a parent of 4 little ones. We've got another one on the way. I get what a calm sense means when it comes to storms. I tell the kids in weather schools all the time when I go visit schools. I tell them that, you know, and I've said this before, I apologize to who I'm repeating, but doctors, right, know all the different parts of the body, okay? Surgeons know the different parts of whatever they are specialized in surgery. All right, meteorologists know the different parts of thunderstorms. So we can go into the storm, we can see what parts would be rotating, we can see what parts aren't rotating, we can see what parts have damaging winds and hail, all right? So the most important thing to do, storms don't have to be scary. They're fascinating, and that's what I teach my kids. The science behind it is awesome, but the thing that you need to do is make sure you're prepared and that you're tuned into someone that knows what they're talking about. And I don't care if that's me. It doesn't have to be region weather, all right? But you want to make sure you have a source that knows what they're talking about when you have severe weather so that they can walk you through where those dangerous parts are, okay? None of this has to be scary, though. It really doesn't. And if we do pop a tornado warning out of this, which we'll keep our eye on the cell here, looking a little frisky here near Deep River in Winfield. But if, let's say we do pop a tornado warning with this, all right? Doesn't mean it's crazy and that we all need to have anxiety. It's not like the movies, okay? It means you need to be prepared. So that's heading to a central part of your house. If you don't have a basement, that's fine. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You know the rules. Head to a basement if you can. And if you've got the kids, make it fun for them. Put on a movie. Get some popcorn. Don't make it a scary experience for them. You know, just say, hey, this storm's cool, isn't it? Look at the lightning outside, you know, from the basement, from a safe place. And make sure you're tuned in. You know, I like to teach as well. So that's that. All right. So just to give you kind of a heads up on that, that's what we're dealing with. And again, a lot of you have joined since we first started. I'm Matt Wentz. I'm a meteorologist. I do the morning show on a NBC network in Cleveland. All right. That's where I'm stationed right now. And this is my bedtime. So I've got to get up in a couple hours. I'm also fighting sickness. I've had a nasty week of sleep and sickness. So I apologize. I normally don't sound like a stuffed marshmallow, okay? But that's kind of where we're at. So I apologize for that. Again, our whole point, we're not for looks. This isn't a fashion show. Again, I'm trying to get you through these storms. All right, we've wasted enough time talking here. I ramble sometimes. I'm sorry. So we'll go back to the radar right now and kind of dive into these storms. So Chesterton, you're getting some heavy rain right now has moved in. You've got strong winds there as well. Here's our storm getting into Valparaiso. Some real good downpours and some hail just to your west. This is along and just south of US 30. It will pop north of US 30 when it gets into Valpo. But you can see we're dealing with some real heavy rain and some hail there. And then this beast back towards Cedar Lake, really packing a punch. This is getting into Crown Point right now. We've got very heavy rain pushing in. It's on your doorstep right now. This will get into the Hebron area, eventually getting up into Winfield. But this storm is packing a punch with hail. We've got strong winds with this one as well, and very heavy rain in addition to some lightning. That's kind of what we've got going on, okay? Let's go back to, we got to just keep scrolling through these and checking. That's what I do on storm coverage. We got to check all the facets of these storms to keep an eye on them. So there's not a ton of wind with this storm down that's heading into Crown Point. There is wind with it. I don't want us to let our guard down. We're probably talking 40 to 50 miles per hour. So that's some wind. But this continues to be the powerhouse windstorm right here. All right. Portage, South Haven, getting into Burns Harbor and Ogden Dunes. Chesterton heads up. Valpo, the strongest wind with this one. Remember all the wind damage we had with that last round of storms a couple months ago. This storm is the worst of this wind looks to pass through the north side of town. That's some good news. Let's keep it that way for now. But all these areas just north, Lakeview, towards Coburg area, Westville, right in here, those are the areas that are going to see some really strong winds from this. Probably on the order of 60, 70 still. All right. So that's some pretty strong wind that's going to take down. The other thing is we have foliage on our trees right now. Okay. that makes the trees a lot heavier. You add rain to that, and that adds to the weight of the leaves. And a lot of these trees that haven't been pruned in the last 6 months since they lost their leaves, we're going to have some wind damage from this across the region, okay? And that's always, it's like nature's pruning, okay? That always happens when we get our first damaging wind event of the spring and summer, and that's especially once the leaves are on the tree. So I am expecting some wind damage from this. Let me see. I don't see any updates from the Weather Service. Hopefully I'm still getting updates there on that one. Let's check your hail real quick. We'll go back to that. I'm seeing some reports of no power in Crown Point right now. Dee says it's back on. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, a lot of people losing power in Crown Point right now. A lot of people losing power in Cherville. Hobart, I see your power's out. Lost our flagpole, says Joanne, in the Hobart area. Wow. Heavy rain, North Valpo. No power, Cherville, says Deb. Jason says real ominous here in Lowell. A lot of people without power. And Sergeant Waz is asking about LaPorte. So let's get into that. We'll get you a little heads up preview here. Okay, let's go back to the radar. So strong winds moving through with this. I know it doesn't look like much. Even the reflectivity doesn't look like a huge storm in South Haven, but this is where the wind is with that. So it's not incredible rainfall rates with that, but you're seeing some incredible winds. Chesterton, you're getting hit with that right now. As we get out towards the east, LaPorte County, you're going to be next for this. Let's time this out into LaPorte County. We'll time out that area of wind, which is right about here. We'll again do it at 52 just to give it take a couple minutes. And we'll drag this in here. You can see getting into Oakwood in about 17 minutes. LaPorte itself, you've got about another 20 minutes until this moves in. But we're seeing some gusty winds on the front of this, the leading edge. So I don't want that number to be etched in stone. Probably 15, 20 minutes in LaPorte, okay? Rolling Prairie, about 26 minutes for you. And then Hudson Lake in about a half hour in terms of that storm producing the strong winds moving through Porter County right now. Valpo, let me turn this off real quick. There we go. Here's the sickness shining its face. This is an intense storm that continues to be. We've got secondary development down here to the southwest as well. Let's see, Weather Service just said a corridor of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds pushing from the southern reaches of the lake from near Gary inland to around Valpo. That's what we've been tracking. So they just showed exactly what we've been looking at. Lowell, you're getting hit again. We've got hail with that. Heavy rain, some wind with that as well. The wind energy not quite as impressive with this cell. Crown Point getting rocked right now. What are you guys seeing in Crown Point? Probably super heavy rain. Might look like a hurricane outside right now with this storm. You are right in the meat and potatoes of this storm as it rolls through there in Crown Point. Winfield, you're up next from that one. Valpo, you're getting hit right now. The worst of the storm is actually northwest of you. I know that doesn't relieve the pain of looking outside right now and seeing the wind and the rain and all the lightning flashing. You're still getting a decent storm, don't get me wrong, with some strong winds. But this is the heavier part just to your northwest along State Road 130 as it heads north and west out of town. And then off towards the north, Woodville, Chesterton, you're picking up a decent storm right now. That's getting into the town of Pines and Beverly Shores here with some intense rain here over the course of the next 15 minutes or so. All right, what are we doing here? I got the wrong radar site. There we go. All right, we're back to the radar again. Here's our storms as they continue to push out towards the east. We'll kind of zoom out right now to level set, big picture thinking if you just joined us. Thanks for joining us here on Region Weather. I'm a meteorologist. My name is Matt Wintz. We're tracking these storms through the region. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Lake and Porter County. That's what we're dealing with right now. I would imagine, remember when we jump into LaPorte County, it jumps Weather Services. So Northern Indiana Weather Service picks it up. So you don't always see an immediate continuation of any warnings. But I would imagine that we are going to extend that severe thunderstorm warning into LaPorte County shortly. All right, you folks will probably get an alert soon. They would be very smart in Northern Indiana to do that very soon because there are damaging winds with this storm. All right, so LaPorte County, let's just go ahead and say it. I would say from Wanata to Kingsbury to Stillwell North, consider yourself under severe thunderstorm warning. You've got a doozy of a storm moving in, okay? All right, so there's our storm right now. Storm motion on these is north and east around 55 or 50 to 55 miles per hour, so they're moving pretty fast. And it looks like we're going to get two hits. This is our second storm in Crown Point. So this storm moving through Valpo, we're not done. We've got one more back towards the west. And given the amount of energy that we have in the atmosphere, I don't think storm number one is going to calm down storm number two. Just want to say that. These are intense storms. For our folks that are up in Hammond and Gary right now, boy, are you getting a much-needed break after those storms rolled through. You can probably, I wouldn't go outside, but I would look out your window at these storms out towards the east. or face south, and you're probably seeing a good lightning show with the cumulonimbus clouds up in the sky right now. All right. Weather Service says Livingston County back in Illinois reporting 3-inch hail. Wow-wee. That's the size of baseballs. Incredible there. All right, and once you know it, we've got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. I think for LaPorte County, that's the county that we said they should issue one for. So we'll see if this lights up here. I'm not going to check because it'll take me out of Weather Service chat, but it'll pop up in the screen. A lot of you in LaPorte County probably getting that alert right now. But just incredible wind with this. So let's go back to the hail real quick, and then I'll go back to wind, because the wind is the primary issue with these, again, as they move through. This is your hail, which is kind of backed off a little bit. Let's make sure I've got the right radar on her. Yeah, the hail's backed off a little bit. That's some good news. So the large hail, not so much of a factor anymore. There is some hail, but in terms of wind, look at this thing. I'm going to put it in motion once because it's kind of sloppy. Yeah, real strong wind still in Porter County. That is the main concern right now. We have some wind with these storms down in the Lowell area, but by and large, this is our most dangerous storm going right through the heart of Porter County right now. Valpo, the strongest winds are just north of you. You can see that as denoted by some of these brighter yellows here. This is where we're getting winds 60 to 75 miles per hour. I mean, it is really packing a punch. And that just moved through Portage. Portage, you're still seeing some strong winds. Valpo, you've got strong winds moving through. Again, worse is north of you, but that doesn't mean it's an easy storm for you as that heads east. Chesterton heads up to you. You've got some wind that is really starting to pick up now with the rain, but it's really going to pick up here in the next minute or so in Chesterton. This will push into the Burdick area. Burns Harbor, you're seeing some strong winds. Portage, we're still dealing with wind there. And this is heading east around 50 miles per hour or so. So, again, that new severe thunderstorm warning, which we have. Do we have a new warning? Maybe we don't have a new warning for LaPorte County. What are we doing, Weather Service? We need to get that out. They have one for Michigan. That could be why I got the alert there for Berrien County. But we need to have a severe thunderstorm warning. What are we doing? There needs to be a warning in this area right here, all right? I don't know why there's not, because these damaging winds are going to be moving into Michigan City, Westville, and eventually LaPorte here in not long. So hopefully you're tuned in and you're getting the early heads up on that we've got strong winds moving in, all right? Here's where our strongest winds are right now, right over Chesterton. Porter, you're picking up strong winds as well. We go down to street level. Anything in yellow, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds just above the surface. More than likely that's coming down to the surface or the treetop level where it's kind of shearing off some trees. Not in a tornado sense, but more in a damaging wind, straight line wind sense, okay? Down to the south, boy, that southern storm really doesn't have much wind with it. This is, again, the wind radar. We're looking at the storm coming out of the Cedar Lake and Lowell area getting into Winfield. There's not a ton of wind. There's still some gusty wind, but not nearly what we had earlier. In terms of rainfall, though, you can see that storm still packing a punch. And still some good structure to these. See how they're staying round? I mean, they're still keeping their supercell structure as they head to east. So that tells me that, we've still got some pretty strong storms out here. Winfield, there's another little supercell here. These are kind of starting to merge here down to the south. But overall, they're their own storms. They're kind of behaving on their own as well. This is our worst storm right now, though, heading through Porter County. This is almost at the Porter, excuse me, again, fighting something real nasty for the last 6 days. This is going to cross the border here between Porter County and LaPorte County here shortly, okay? So the dunes, the national park, picking up some heavy rain right now. That wind is really moving in. Burdick as well. This will get into LaPorte in not long, but we're looking at rain here. Then look at the wind within this thing. I mean, that wind is cranking, as denoted by these yellow colors. Very strong wind through Chesterton right now. Westville, you're going to get a gust of wind as well when this thing moves in. Valpo backing off a little bit. That's some good news. South Haven, Portage, your wind is backing off. You can probably watch that storm out towards your east right now. And then I'm not seeing anything too bad with that southern storm. That's good. And the one thing that I'm watching, which I really like which I really enjoy seeing right now, is that we're not seeing a lot of rotation with these storms. There's not a ton of shear present. Most of the shear is up towards where that low pressure is, off towards the north. So Wisconsin was lighting up like a Christmas tree with tornado reports earlier this afternoon into the evening hours. But for us, there's not as much shear present, but there's just a lot of cape. There's a lot of energy for these storms. That's why we're seeing a lot of lightning. We're getting wind energy as well, moving into these storms with a strong jet as that low kind of ranks around. And overall, there's a hail threat as well, although that hail's backed off a little bit. Okay, that's some good news. So there's that. All right. So there's our warning. Man, what took us so long? Again, love the Weather Service, but I don't, we've got imminent 60 to 70 mile per hour winds moving in, and I feel like we took a little while on that. But, you're prepared. We're good. Again, I don't want to bash any weather service or anything like that. They do a great job. They've got a lot going on. Understaffed. Okay, they're working their butts off, I'm sure. But this storm's getting into LaPorte County here shortly. So LaPorte County now, we talked about this earlier, about 5 minutes ago. You've got damaging winds moving in. Okay, this is going to center around Westville up to LaPorte to Rolling Prairie. You have the strongest risk of these 60 to 70 mile per hour winds blowing in from the west. Chesterton, you're in it right now. Is anyone in Chesterton right now that is that's hearing these winds, or what are you experiencing there in the Chesterton area or in Porter as well? Both those areas getting hit pretty hard. So there's that. Ricky, thanks for the update. Getting loud and starting to pick up that wind in northern Westville by the college. So yeah, you're starting to pick up here. You're right. Here's your wind gusts coming in. Not quite as strong as up towards Chesterton, but we're probably talking 50, maybe 60 with this. So again, heads up on that as that kind of moves in there, Ricky. Yeah, Bryn says Porter's extremely windy right now. Savannah says very intense in Chesterton, and now it's down to nothing. That's kind of how it goes. Let's see. Weather Service reporting a couple things here. A lot of you with wind in the Valpo area. Let's see. Chicago says we errantly set out a local storm report of a tornado in Braceville back in Grundy County. Not a tornado, so if it gets in anyone's systems, disregard it. Large maple trees down, 2 to 3 foot diameter trees down in Crown Point. There you go, blocking the road. So this is West Street, north of Goldsboro in the Crown Point area. There's a large maple tree, or half of it down on the road there, blocking it. Excuse me. Nothing major in Benton County. That's good. Surge of damaging winds now moving across Chesterton and Valparaiso. Should exit Porter County to the east next 10 to 15 minutes. That's what we're tracking. Okay. This is great. All right. You can see, I mean, I circled it. Now it's off towards the east already. So here's your strong wind right now. Let's check the southern one. We're getting a little rotation here. It's getting a little funky. Not too bad. Nothing that we would, get a warning or anything like that. But we'll keep our eye on that cell. That's your second storm that's going to be going into Valpo. So Valpo is not in the clear yet, okay? We've got another storm moving in from your southwest. This continues to produce the damaging winds, though, getting into Michigan City now. Springfield, LaPorte probably another 5 to 10 minutes before the system gets in with those strong winds. Michigan City, you're seeing those winds pick up right now. Okay, this is moving in just now. So there's that. We got a report from Martha. She says northeast of Chesterton, near 1300 north and 250 east. A huge wind blew a couple minutes ago, and the power went out. Within about 2 minutes, it started to blow. Heard a pop not too far in the neighborhood after the lights went out. Probably a transformer or something falling on a power line for sure. Thanks for that update, Martha. I hope you guys are okay. Let's see. LaPorte, Brandy says extremely windy. Lots of lightning just north of Route 6. Jen's asking about South Valpo. Debbie, I do need Mucinex. I need sleep too. I probably got maybe 7 hours of sleep in the last 3 days. It's been brutal, and I've got to go. We've got to track these storms into my viewing area, so I'm going into work early. So I've got to go now. I've been up since 2 a.m. Not that you need to know this, but I've been up since 2 a.m. and I've got to go. I haven't slept much today. I tried to nap and I couldn't. I've got to go all the way till 10:30 this morning somehow. So I'm going to be up 30 some hours straight. My son has something at school, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to fall asleep during that event. So there's that. It's just been a brutal week of sleep. So again, yes, I need Mucinex. I need a lot of help. It's just been one of those weeks. And again, a lot of people don't know, that morning show schedule is brutal to begin with. But when there's severe weather, you've got to go in at odd hours on top of your odd hours. So there's that. All right, that's not what matters right now. What matters is getting you guys through these storms. We've got the strong winds now moving into Michigan City. LaPorte, you're up next. Probably another 5 minutes now on those storms. Okay, let's go back to reflectivity. Let's look at these. Again, 2 storms right now that we're watching. Both of them are packing a punch right now. If you were to look at this radar, you'd say, we've got 2 thunderstorms. It's not that big of a deal. These individual storms are towering 50 to 50,000 feet in the atmosphere. So they're able to tap into this crazy energy that exists up where the jet stream's flowing, and they can bring that down. So just because they're 2 little storms doesn't mean that, on radar, doesn't mean that they're not packing a punch. These are some really powerful storms here today that are packing into that energy. All right, so here's our LaPorte County storm right now. This is getting through Michigan City. Your rain is really going to back off in a hurry here. It's going to go from something to nothing. That's kind of what we've been hearing with these storms. Oakwood, Orchard Highlands, Waterford, Summit, Springville, and then Springfield. You are all in the path of the storm. That wind is picking up now. You've got some hail that's going to move in and some really crazy rain that's moving in for this one. This stretches down to the south. LaPorte, a couple minutes here before that heavy rain gets in there, you're seeing that wind pick up as well. And then the second storm, so Valpo, you're getting South Haven, you're included in this. You guys are getting rain right now off of that second storm. So remember, these storms tower 55,000 feet in the atmosphere, and then the jet stream takes the top and kind of blows it ahead of the storm. That's how you get that anvil look to the clouds that we have. And you probably noticed that as the storms were coming in from the west, you saw that spray of high clouds coming off of these storms. So what that's doing as this cloud goes up, I'm just going to illustrate this just for teaching purposes. So here's your storm right here, okay? So here's our cloud that goes up into the sky, and then you get this anvil that kind of shoots off of it, okay? So here's ground down here. You get the rain right here. The jet stream is blowing the top of that like that. And so what can happen on these more developed storms is you start to get some raindrops out of this, all right? And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing some lighter rain falling way out in advance of the storm that's moving in. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And that's what we're seeing here. You can see it coming to life here. Here's your main cell. That's where your 55,000 foot cloud top is. Here's where the anvil is, right up here, okay? I got to be careful with what I'm drawing there. I've seen too many YouTube videos. And then you can see right here, this is the anvil part that's producing a general light rain. So it's not a crazy storm in Valpo, but it's raining. But then it really picks up in intensity here with heavy rain. And we've had some wind and some small hail. But this storm has lost a lot of its lightning. It still is lightning with it, but that's some good news as I feel like we're kind of weakening that storm up a little bit. Boy, this storm is not weakened. This is still packing a punch. Just north of LaPorte, going to see the worst of this action. Michigan City are getting out of it. That's some good news. But this storm is nasty. Heading into Oakwood and, again, Springfield here shortly. This will get up into Michiana Shores. Long Beach picking it up pretty good right now. Out towards Heston, Rolling Prairie, you're going to get hit by this in probably another 10 minutes or so as this moves out towards the east as well. Okay, let's go back down to velocity. I do want to check on those winds. Ooh, what a line that's developed right now. Some kind of boundary there has kind of developed. Could be outflow, not too sure, but there's a little, you see that little line that's developed? That's good news. Let's keep it a line, all right? Nothing's twisting. That's some good news. Where we have problems, though, is this bright area here. This is where we still have damaging winds, likely on the order of 60 to 70 that are moving through Michigan City. They're probably out of Michigan City right now. The worst of it looks to head north of LaPorte, but you're still going to get hit by some strong winds in LaPorte, okay? So not too great there. And then let's get back to hail radar. I just want to check on our hail real quick. Let's see. There we go. So the hail, not too much of a factor. Most of it off towards the north. Look at Michigan. Holland, Michigan, under a tornado warning right now. Boy, do they have a nasty storm. That's probably baseball-sized hail coming off the lake into Holland. I love downtown Holland. It's such a beautiful spot. Boy, they're about to get nailed with that storm that's coming in off the lake. And the problem with storms that come in off the lake, oh, that's a mess. The problem with storms that come off the lake, there's not a lot of friction out over the lake. Look at all these tornado warnings heading up towards Muskegon as well. Grand Rapids, heads up. We've got 2 tornado warning storms rolling off the lake there. But the problem with the lake is that there's not a lot of friction. Here on land, we've got buildings, we've got trees, we've got hills. And so that wind will slow down just a little bit as it's moving through, so the numbers aren't quite as high. When you've got storms rolling off the lake, you just have waves. That's the only thing slowing it down. That wind just does its thing, and sometimes it can really pick up in intensity. So that's why we get a lot of damage with winds off the lake. And I would not be surprised if we have maybe a seiche out on the lake as well. Sometimes when you get strong winds and a push, you can push all that Lake Michigan water up towards the eastern shores with that wind. So the water level comes down on the western side of the lake, sometimes by feet. It's incredible. And the water rise comes up on the eastern side. And then when that storm leaves the shore, all that water comes sloshing back across the lake like a huge wave, and you can have flooding problems. I don't see any alerts on that, but I would not be surprised if we had some kind of element of that where we've got higher water levels heading into eastern Michigan, all right? Again, and I don't want to say it this way, but it's their problem, not ours, all right? We're focused on Northwest Indiana, so that's where we're going to go back to here, but just some food for thought here. All right, Valpo, another storm getting ready to move in. I'm not too concerned about that. There's some heavy rain and lightning that's getting ready to head into town. This will hit the Porter County Airport pretty well there. Let's see. One final storm in our area heading towards Valpo and Malden. That's the one we're tracking, possibly producing small hail damaging winds. Should exit Porter County by 9:30. Our area looks to be storm-free following this one. I would agree. All right, and then you've got this storm that's going to clip LaPorte in Springfield right now, getting out towards the east, okay? All right, so I'm going to leave you guys and go to bed for an hour and a half, if that's okay. Excuse me. I'm not overly concerned with a tornado threat from these. We've got to watch them, all right? But we are severe weather clear now in Lake County, areas in Newton, Jasper County. You're fine right now. Even Stark County, boy, you barely even got anything. We got a nice break in the radar, all right? There's storms down to the south, down here, and then we got a nice break where these storms did not develop all the way down into Newton and Jasper County. So this is one of those events, and we talked about this before, that there was the potential with this that some places don't get a storm at all, and that looks to come to fruition. I don't see a lot of development back towards the west, and the reason why is because this complex right here, this is what's going to steal the show, okay? All the energy is kind of getting absorbed into that line. That complex of storms will curve across Michigan and then eventually head towards Cleveland, all right? That's why I'm heading in early, because we're going to watch these storms later head in. And so that's kind of where I see things going. Northern Stark County, can't rule out a storm from here. This storm seems sub-severe, though. It really does. There's some strong winds with it and heavy rain and some hail. But overall, compared to this one that's getting through Michigan City, eventually out in Rolling Prairie, that's the bigger of the two storms. And then Michigan just get nailed right now with tornado warning storms. That is just a nasty line, and that's where most of the energy is going. So if you are fortunate enough to have a home along the lakefront, you're getting a good lightning show out over the lake. That's some of my best memories of growing up. I grew up off the coast of Lake Erie, and then obviously we lived in Chicago for 8 years while I worked in Maryville at Lakeshore Public Television, and we were right on the lakefront in Chicago. And some of my best memories are watching these storms at night out over the lake. There's just so much lightning. It's just incredible. And look at all these lightning strikes with this as well. Not a ton over land. We're still getting some lightning, but this is really a Lake Michigan show right now. Okay, let me check wind one more time before I let you guys go. Let's just check this. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything too crazy. We still have strong winds in Springfield right now. Little rotation here. Storms rotate all the time. Not too worried about it. And then just some gustier winds with that Valpo storm. Nothing too crazy. And the hail we saw was not much of a factor either. Okay, these storms will be out. Give it another hour or so. This one will be out probably another 30 minutes. All right, it'll move over towards South Bend. This one we're going to need another hour or so. This will clip Wanata, Kingsford Heights, and Kankakee, the other one in Indiana, over the next hour. All right, should move on out. All that action is going to be up towards Michigan. So that sounds great. I love that. So that's kind of what we're dealing with in terms of that. I do see some comments coming in. Hobart's clear right now, Haley. Let's see. Ashley, Portage is clear as well. Okay. South Haven is clear as well. All right. Barely, but you're clear now, Michelle. So we're good. All right. So just hear me here. Okay. If you are in Lake County, know your counties, Lake County, Newton County, Jasper County, even Stark County, you guys can go to bed. Okay. I'm not too worried about severe weather for you. If you're in Chesterton, Portage, South Haven, this little sliver of Portage County, you're fine. Michigan City, you should be done as well. All right. I got a lot of things on here. This is the only area I'm going to say is not fine yet. All right. We've got a storm to get through in LaPorte County. Okay. And I hate to leave you hanging. I need some sleep though. Okay. The main job pays the bills. All right. And I got to be at my best for my folks on the TV side of things. Okay. So that's what we've got. Again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I always appreciate the trust. I really, really do. A lot of you are going to be without power. It's going to be on the muggy side tonight. So I just hope you can find a way to stay cool. If you've got the kids, I know, a lot of schools still going in session. And so alarms and stuff like that, we're going to make sure we have a charger somehow or have a battery backup for those alarms in the morning. But our road crews in NIPSCO is going to have a lot of work to do with some of this power line down and tree action that we had with lots of tree damage reports coming in. Okay. So give them some patience, but get through the night. The good news is we're done with the storms, okay? All right, we'll pick this up tomorrow, probably with the Matt's Morning Minute. We'll have an update because there is a severe weather threat tomorrow. It's a little bit further south, but we could have some sneaky severe storms tomorrow afternoon as this atmosphere kind of reloads before the actual cold front goes through. So we're not quite out of the woods yet. We'll have a nice quiet start to the day tomorrow, but we're going to be watching a pretty big severe weather threat downstate. And again, that could clip us. So we're not quite done yet. Okay. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. Make sure you're tuned in, that you're following our page and on our YouTube channel, that you're subscribing to that. That's how you get the updates when we go live during severe weather. Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll talk to you soon.